Hey, Shalom. I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect. And, it's going to be a quick lesson based off the so-called virgin birth, man. Brothers been doing countless videos on it. And I just wanted to, a little willing be edifying and, bring my understanding or bring, some more understanding to the hopeful elect. This is Matthew chapter 1, verse 17. So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. And from David unto the carrying away into Babylon are 14 generations. And from the carrying away into Babylon to Yahushai are 14 generations. Now the birth of Yahushai was on this wise, when as his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph, before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Spirit. Now, as you would read that, not having understanding, you would think that before they came together, meaning before they had sex, she was found with child. All right, but no, because when you read in the verse the next verse, then Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example. Now in the blue letter, when you look that up, man, him being a just man is let me see. Okay, here it is. Matthew's 1. It's talking about a just man. Let's see.
Strong's G 1342. Dikaios. Dikaios.
It says Dikaios, in a wide sense, upright, righteous, virtuous, keeping the commandments of God. And what's the commandments of the Most High? As far as Joseph being a just man, that he was supposed to. It says, then Joseph, her husband, being a just man or a man of the law, keeping the law and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily, because he basically had sex with her before her parents knew about it. Before, and that's the actual consummation of the marriage, man. That, if a man, I'm gonna just grab it, man. Because here it says right here in Exodus 22 and 16, it says, if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, and she wasn't betrothed, and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. Because, also it says right here in Deuteronomy 22, I'm going to start at 13. If any man take a wife and go into her and hate her, which basically Joseph was planning on doing, and give occasion of speech against her, making her a public example and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid. Then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hated her. It says, and lo, he gave occasion of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid. And yet these are the tokens of a daughter's virginity. Because technically, you're supposed to present basically you're supposed to pay the father, after you have sex with the daughter, and that's the true consummation of the marriage, and they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city, and the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him, Talakia. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him, and they shall immerse him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon the virgin of Israel, and she shall be his wife, and he may not put her away all his days. So they were, before anybody knew it, that they had sex, Joseph popped her. So he was thinking to put her away privately, but the angel said this. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man, not willing to make a public example, basically make a bad name out of her, Basically saying, look, your daughter was a whore, man. You know, because nobody knew that they had sex, man. You know, so there technically there was no proof. The Joseph, her husband, being a just man and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privately. But when he thought on these things, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. It says, and she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushai, for he shall save his people from their sins. Now all this was done, that it might be fulfilled which is spoken of by the Lord by the prophet, or the prophet Isaiah, saying, behold, a virgin shall be with child. All right. Now, this is how we know that Mary is not that Mary was untouched, because you have two definitions of the word virgin, which is one is Baphalah and one is Ilama. And when you go to that account that is written of in Matthew 1:23, that would be Isaiah, just for further understanding. Isaiah 7, Salakia. Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a child, and shall call his name Emmanuel. All right. So let's look up that word. Virgin is Ilama, a damsel, a maid, a virgin. A virgin, a young woman of marriageable age. Because she passed the flower of her age, but she was a young woman, not yet. So that's what it means. Behold, a virgin shall conceive a child. Let me see. Let's look up this word conceive. Oh, okay. So she shall be pregnant with a child. All right. So when we go back to, was that Matthew's 1? Back in Matthew's 1 and 22. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which is spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us. Then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him, and took unto him his wife. And okay. So like another point I wanted to harp on this so-called virgin birth, how we understand that it wasn't a virgin birth. If you go to Luke 2 and let's start at 19. But Mary kept all these things and pondered them in her heart. And the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things that they had heard and seen, as they were told unto them. And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, his name was called Yahushai, which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb. So the angel came to Mary and basically told her, that you're going to have a son. Because when you read, like a lot of people like to go to book of Luke, the first chapter, because Luke, the first chapter, also speaks on the birth of Yahushai. But Luke, the first chapter, was actually, when you go into the chronological order, Luke, the first chapter, was actually before Matthew's, the first chapter, when you go into the timeline. So in Luke, the first chapter, Mary and Joseph didn't get together yet, but Matthew's, the first chapter, they did. This is back Luke 2 and 21. When 8 days were accomplished for the circumcising of the child, his name was called Yahushai, which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb. Going back to that word conceived again. And when the days of her purification according to the law of Moses were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord. All right. Now, according to the law of Moses. Now, when you get Leviticus, chapter 12, verse 1, it says, and the Lord speaking to Moses, saying, speaking to the children of Israel, saying, if a woman have conceived seed, let's go to blue letter, because I want to. If a woman have conceived seed and born a man child, then she shall be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation, for her infirmity shall she be clean. So mind you, Mary was going according to the law of Moses. All right? According to the law of Moses, when you look up that word seed, it says to sow, scatter seed, produce yielding seed, to be sown, to become pregnant, to be made pregnant. All right? Now, how does a woman receive the seed from a man? They have sex. You know? According to the days of the separation, okay. She have conceived seed and born a man child, then shall she be unclean 7 days. According to the days of the separation, for her infirmity shall she be unclean. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised, and she shall then continue in the blood of her purifying 3 days. She shall touch no hallowed thing, nor come into the sanctuary until the days of her purifying be fulfilled. You know? And that proves the point, man. That further proves the point, might I add. You know, that if they didn't have sex, why would she need to be purified? Because she received seed. She received sperm, man. You know? Now, we can go to another cut would be also in the New Testament, Romans chapter 1 and verse, actually, I'm going to come back to that. This is actually another one, just further proving that point. Drilling it home, rather. Galatians 4:4. But when the fulfillment of the time was come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law. Okay? So he was made under the law of Moses, to redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons. Romans 1:1. It says, Paul, a servant of Yahushua, called to be an apostle, separated unto the gospel of God, which he had promised afore by his prophets in the Holy Scriptures, concerning his son Yahushua, our power, which was made of the seed of David, according to the flesh. So that's why I read Matthew 1:16, man. He going to the seed of David, man. Let's look up that word seed, man. Which is pretty obvious because it said according to the flesh, but we still going to look it up. Okay, this is in the New Testament, mind you. That word seed means sperma. All right, or sperm. Including the male sperm, offspring, especially a remnant. The semen. Okay, so Yahushua, man, he came out of the semen or the sperm, all right, of Joseph, which ultimately goes back to King David. Hey, so with that, like I said, just my little 2 cents upon the so-called virgin birth. Shalom.